Hello, welcome to Andunda Tree. My name is Balos Ezrak, and I am pleased that you landed on this podcast today. Our topic of today is to discuss or to look at how Black and brown people contribute to the struggle and the problem that they face in their everyday life around the world, particularly economically. Before I dive into this topic or this discussion, allow me to tell you just a little bit about Andunda Tree. Andunda Tree is a school of common sense and wisdom, meaning that it's a platform that aims to educate people on a matter that takes place in our everyday life that sometimes we tend to ignore, we don't discuss, we are afraid to talk about, we are ashamed to talk about, or we've been told about it, but we were told it wrong. So the idea here is to simplify things, to talk things in a very simple and easy way to make almost anyone to understand. No complicating stuff. This is what we do here at Andunda Tree. There are more benefits of this school of common sense. Therefore, it will be important for you to find more information about what we do, how you can get involved, and what other benefits come with this education platform. One of the ways you can find more about Andunda Tree is to go on YouTube, Andunda Tree, and find an introduction video that talk more about Andunda Tree. Another way is to go to our website, which is andundatree.com. There you should be able to find more information. Now, let's get into the topic of today. How Black and brown people contribute to some of the biggest problems that they face around the world. In order to understand this question, I just want to inform you that this is the second part of this topic. There is a discussion that I have already done with the title of Why Black and Brown People Around the World Struggle, meaning that wherever they are in the world, they are always facing a lot of problems. That number one podcast looked mostly on how other mechanisms, systems, races have contributed or have been the driving force to create and put barriers and the difficulties on the struggle of the Black and brown people. For this particular podcast, I am going to look at how Black and brown people themselves have also contributed to this struggle. I also wish to highlight that the first topic I just spoke about has contributed to this topic, has had any impact on the decision making of a Black and brown person wherever they are in the world, meaning that the struggle that has been caused, the trauma that has been caused by others are also one of the reasons why Black people have become to be the contributor of their own problems. I've always said life is not so complicated. Life is not so difficult. We, the people, make a life so complicated. We, the people, make a life so challenging, whether it's on ourselves or on other people. Otherwise, the world would have been a very simple and a beautiful place to live or to exist for any living thing. Black people have suffered a lot and for too long, and the struggle I spoke about the first episode that I've asked you to make sure you check or you listen to has pushed Black and brown people to the point where the majority or a lot of them lost the sense of life. Remember, I usually say common sense is no longer common, and this is the reason why the world as a whole is suffering, because people have lost sense of life. I've also always said if we can go back to use our common sense in our everyday's life, in our every decision, even just when you pick up your phone and try to go to the social media, what you are going to look, what you are going to search, how long you're going to stay there. This requires you to use some form of thinking. Thoughts come with education. When I talk about education here or in my many podcasts, I don't focus mostly on going to the schools, the colleges, the university. Education just refer to the simple understanding of life that starts from home and beyond. So how does Black and brown people contribute to their own problems? The biggest way of how Black people have contributed to their own problems is that they live on a system that doesn't belong to them. They live in the system that is not built for them. In which sense? A Black and a brown person has embraced everything that comes from somewhere else, and they forgot or lost anything that meant who they are. You are no longer living life accordingly to who you are. You are living your life accordingly to what other people have put in place. And that's the biggest problem. And this is why in everything that a Black person, in almost everything that a Black person does, he will always, or he's always, in the second, third, or fourth line. Whether this is education, whether this is job, belief, whether this is, development of all forms. Now, how did the Black people came to embrace so badly what they are not? That is the subject of the first episode that I did. In this topic, we are talking about where we are right now. In the other podcast, I spoke about how the so-called white man came to Africa, created the slavery, many Black and brown people out of the continent as a slave, abused and misused them in any way they wished, which took their existence or who they were away from reality. And those who were left were also forced to accept things implemented to them. Culture, education, religion, anything that was good between the Blacks or brown was told it wasn't. And a new way of life was introduced. And there is where the struggle of the Black person started. Because let's say if you start get into a religion such as Christianism, you were told about God and how you should worship this God. Between you and the person who told you, who do you think will have an advantage or will be in the first line? Of course, the person who informed you, because you were only told. And the person who told you choose what to tell you and not what to tell you. Surprisingly, if you look the way people worship, there's no a continent, I would say, that worship God like Africa. Almost everything is blessed on God. One of the least blessed of the world where God is worshipped could be Europe. The place that brought religion to you don't want to continue to be religious, or they have chosen another way of going with it. You as a Black or brown person, when you become religious, everything else fell into that. And this is the problem of a Black brown person. Once he sees something, he gets into it deeply. Whether it's good, whether it's bad, you just go through it. You embrace almost everything as it comes, even more than the person who brought what you are embracing. Now, like I said, you realize that, let's say whether you're in Africa, the motherland of a Black brown person, you imagine people who are in their own continent. They are in the second line. In which sense? When you go to school, you have to learn in a different language, somebody else's language. At first, you're a young child. Your parents start teaching you how to speak your own language. When you leave from there, you go to school, you have to learn a different language. So every time, it's like you have to chase two birds at once. Here, you try to learn about your own language, but at the same time, also try to learn somebody else's language because your education is based on that person's language. The things you are learning, you are being taught about things that maybe even in your life, you never ever see. For example, you could be taught about the mountain in France, the building in Japan. What's that to do with you? What you're gonna do with a bridge that is somewhere in the UK? How does that help you? How does that develop you as a young child? How does that help you in your everyday life? What it does, it just makes life difficult for you. The first difficulty starts when you leave your house and you are sent to school. You are already confused. The first thing is confusion is put in place where you have to sweat. You have to stress yourself. Try to learn two things at the same time at school. Try to learn language from the scratch and then try to learn the materials. This is already difficult for a person. So what is a system got to do with education, poverty, and so on? Well, remember when you go to school, the school is taught based on whose agenda are provided, in which form. Books that you are reading, that you are learning from, come from where? Is the way we learn similar or the same as our black and brown education? When I say ours, I mean the origin of a black-brown person. If you go back before slavery, how was black-brown people doing things? It means that somebody came with the idea of the school that people embrace so badly today and introduced that to your country. These are educated people who had different culture, traditions, different experiences. Now you have to find yourself, they have written books, they have put a mechanism of school that goes in conjunction with who they are, not in conjunction of you or of who you are. In contrast to the other people, once they are born, they speak their own language. They start teaching them how to speak that language. Once they memorize that language, wherever they go, they take that language with them, and that's what they're going to use and they benefit from. There are countries where they only speak one language. The majority of people in England, British people for example, there is a very small group of British people who speak a foreign language. Some of them might feel that it's not relevant to them or they don't need it. Because let's say if you know you're going to live in England almost all your life, why would you need to study Spanish or to learn Spanish, to learn Swahili, to learn Chinese? And even if one day you might find yourself in Spain, well, do you have to spend your entire life to have to learn Spanish just because you might go on holiday in Spain for 2 weeks or 2 months? That is the school. That is education. That is language. You see the problem that language itself creates on you, a black and brown person. You go into black and African countries where they even adore foreign language more than their own language. If you see somebody who speaks good English, French, and so on, wow, he's up there. He's the intelligent one. As I'm speaking, there are probably people who are looking at the way I talk or the way I'm speaking and thinking, whoa, listen to how he sounds. Listen to his English. This is a black-brown problems. But without acknowledging that the person who's talking to you right now speaks almost more than 5 languages. How did I learn that? How do you expect a person who speaks almost 5 languages to speak the same way as somebody who speaks 2 languages or who speaks only 1 language? In his whole life, all what he have known is to speak 1 language. So how do you give that person credit and not giving you, the person who speaks 3-4 languages, the credit? You could be the smartest between the two if you are to compare, because you have the capacity to speak 2, 3, 4 languages and navigate with them. Wherever you found yourself, you can defend yourself. You can speak clearly. That person might not have the capacity to speak fluently 2 languages. And if you think they are very smart or they are very intelligent, think again. Problems that black and brown people create to themselves is that they embrace so much on what doesn't belong to them. And I understand you might say, I was born in the UK, I was born in the USA. generation of my grandpa, my grand-grandpa, was born here. Okay, but who doesn't know where the black person came from? Who doesn't know that? I've always said who you are is what you are. Your origin, your culture. When you lose your origin and your culture, you will be a slave forever. So I've touched about language, education. I've also touched on religion. Look at the way people worship God. There are many black, brown person I have known. You hear almost every day they will tell you, oh, God will do. What are you going to do about money or job or school or this? And they will be like, by the grace of God, I will get to America, I will do this, I will do that. Come on, what's that to do with God? Why do you always want to put God in everything? Even the places that he has nothing to do with it. Even Jesus himself said, give this to this and give that to that. You know what I mean? Give God to what belongs to God. Don't mix things. If you don't work, you are not going to have the money. It's as simple as that. No one woke up one day and found a bucket of money outside his home. If you take that money and call it a miracle, you're a thief. You just stole the money. This idea of God, the Bible itself clarifies things. Even other religious books, of course, clarify these things. It says, without work, you will not eat. So in order to feed yourself, you have to work. It didn't say, you should just relax and wait, God will do it. And we are always found a way to navigate these things. Found one place that we prefer a lot, that can go with our habit, and put the other reality behind. Somebody will come and say, oh, God said, you should not worry about tomorrow. Okay, then just wait when tomorrow comes. Sit in your house. Let's see if you don't put anything in your fridge to eat. Just sit there and wait, because God told you not to worry about tomorrow. Food will come from somewhere in the house. Hello? Don't go to work because you should not worry about tomorrow. Let's see at the end of the week or the month, the salary comes in your bank. How much money will be in your account? How are you going to pay for that car? How are you going to buy the petrol? You see how we tend to interpret things in a very stupid way. While those who brought that religion to you, work is one of the most priority thing in their life. Yeah, somebody's mother can die today, 2-3 days, they are at work. Did you hear what I just said? Somebody's mother can die in Britain, in France, in the US, in Spain, today. The next day or the day after, that person will come to work. This is how the others take work seriously. This is how they prioritize their lives rather than other lives. Or they understand that when somebody is gone, it's already gone. Whatever decision you are going to take will now affect you. He or she is no longer here. Look at us black people. We will spend months mourning. Sometimes we can't even eat. I'm saying we because I'm also part of that group. And I do almost the same. It is our way. Although our way might not always be the best way, there is other ways that might be better. And this is how we have to educate ourselves to see what is right for us. This is why you have to look different perspective. What is better for you? That is religion. Now let's get into money. How we generate money. Remember I said, if you don't work, you won't earn. How does money comes about? I touched this also in the other podcast. I explain it more deep. Here, I will say that wealth is passed on generation after generation. Not every house of a so-called white man have a millionaire. There's only a small number of millionaires and billionaires around the world comparing to those who are not. And around those countries that you see as the safe haven What other people or what other race does is that you, as the person who is present now, you have to fight all you can to generate income. That income is not for you to feed yourself. That income is not for you to have, and when you are no longer here, everything disappears. Often this is a way how black and brown people generate their income. If they have money, you know. Once a black or brown person touch money, you will know. Look at things they are going to buy, unnecessary things they don't need. If you look at somebody who's in a poor home, they're spending more than people who have a lot of money. Poverty of mind. Poverty is in our mind, is in our brain. It's not longer a thing of physical. So what we tend to do is, I work, and everything I work for is for me to enjoy, for me and my children to enjoy. You imagine if God or death is to take me with it today. How will these children of mine going to survive without me? A so-called white man have even thought to prepare their funeral before they even passed away. There's insurance that you have that will allow the family to be able to use the resources that you have left behind just for the funeral, so that those who are left behind don't face challenges and struggle to try to find a coffin, to try to find this, so that you can rest in peace peacefully. Look at us. Look at the black, brown people. The day that person die, that's where you will see how contribution comes, how money comes, how people who never even intended to help you when you are on the bed struggling, you are very ill, didn't help you. That is the moment they help you. They'll make sure any small amount of money that left behind will be spent to that funeral. 2 days, 3 days after, the family has nothing to eat. These are things we don't discuss every day, but these are common sense. These are education that we don't learn at school. These are home education. These are simple education of common sense. To the same part of wealth, if you take out those who don't even have money, who spend more than those who have, then you have the mentality of a black, brown person when it comes to success. Even though we look like a people who love each other more than any other race, who come from a collection. Whenever you see a black, brown person in a place where there's no black, brown people, you have always feel like you have found yourself. This is the person who's going to help me. This is my brother. This is my sister. We are that way naturally. But when it comes to lifting others, it's a bit different. The success belongs to me. You don't want somebody else to succeed. But in contrast, success is not an individual thing. It's when the entire race, the entire community, the entire village succeed. And if you feel it is an individual thing, then it is your responsibility to make sure you succeed and you help somebody else on the way to succeed. Hello? But what you found is that you succeed and you blocking the ways for other people to succeed. And when I say you blocking the way, it's not even you doing it for them. Just to show them the right direction. A black or brown person can refuse to give you just information to get to the place where you can apply for the job. You imagine that? I can't tell him where to apply for that job. I know where it is. He has not even got a job. He could even get there and they will deny that person. You just refuse and hide there. That person will use his own energy and knowledge, but you block him. Now you have those who have made it. Among those who have made it, you have celebrities, then you have our leaders, right? Look at the mentality of most of us. Let's take an example of most of celebrities, of black, brown community or race. Once they have money, you see the majority of black men, they want a white woman. Or they want now women, are the one who say. Is there anything wrong about having a white woman or having multiple women? No. But the wrong depend on what comes with that white woman or those women. For example, what could be wrong? You are probably struggling with a woman who has supported you. You made it, you switch to drop this person out just because you have now succeeded. And I'm not talking just about black men or brown men. This happened to women too. This can be a different topic because our black, brown women, sometimes when you are struggling, they don't support you. They don't see you. And this white woman might be the one who's being there for you, who is supporting the ideas of what you are going to do, while a black woman sit behind thinking the little she's doing is okay, but she doesn't know how much you need somebody who's saying you can do this better. That is a different topic for another day. This is just a tip so that you have something to think about. A part of women and men, you see a successful black man and woman, the materials and things that we possess, somebody might go and buy 20, 25 cars. He has 10 houses. You might see somebody who's in Nigeria, have a house in France, have a house in Spain. Those houses cost a lot of money day in, day out. Who's benefiting from that money? The government of where you have bought that house. And those who are staying in that house when you are not there. You see our celebrity, when they have 20, 25 cars, they see it as that's the way of life. Or our successful men and women. You even have people who come on TV or we do video counting money. Think about that low way of thinking. Showing money, showing what they have. Who cares about what you have? Especially if what you have has no contribution to other people's life. You see how stupid that is. You can be a rapper, you can be a singer, you can be whatever. Yes, if you are poor, you don't have much, you might do these things where you're showing $200 and that. But you as somebody who possess things, you are not helping other people. What you do is to come and blast what you have on other people's face. And you might think you are motivating people. You are not. Showing something is different from motivating somebody. Thinking that, if you show this, or you appreciate what you have, why don't you appreciate it yourself? Because when you share it, you are not appreciating it yourself. You just want to send the appreciation to the people who doesn't have it. Yet, that singer, that rapper, that movie star who's showing you this, the next day he will come online. Yes, guys, come to my concert. It will be amazing if you guys buy a ticket and this and that and that and that. He will come and say a lot of nonsense. When yesterday he was only showing a video of how much money he has. He was only showing how many houses he or she have. While you, who are struggling to provide bread for yourself, he still wants you to collect that little money you have put aside and watch him performing. He will continue to push you into poverty. He will continue to traumatize that poverty that is in our brain that require or that need operation. Why would you buy a ticket to go to a concert of somebody who is doing such a thing? Or if you call yourself successful, that's fine. But how many people's lives have you changed? And I'm not talking about your family. And there are those who even in the family, they do nothing. That's why when you see these people have a problems or they have died, family don't do anything. The world now is blaming the family. How can the family do this to him? Do this to her? Hello? Do you know what she was doing for the people around her or around him while he was still alive, while she was still alive? He probably had other people who were relevant in his or her life. But the contrast is that people who care and love you, proper love, they will always have the blame for anything that happened to you even after you're gone. Whether you gave them something, whether you didn't give them. Let's shift to the same people who have made it. Look at our black and brown leaders. They do the same thing, right? Somebody become a president. The first thing he's thinking is how he's going to generate income for himself and the family. And then those who are around him, because he needs that support, isn't he? Require people who will be doing the dirty work when he was campaigning to change the lives of the country. But as soon as he get there, he's thinking about, okay, how much can I get here for a private jet? How much can I get to buy a house in France, in Brazil? How much can I get to have a company for myself? Black and brown mentality. They will do this from one thing to the other. Anyone who opposed to this, life will be taken away. Somebody who was elected to lift people, to give people hope, it became the misery of the same nation or the same community of the same people, similar to the celebrity I just mentioned. It will take every little money that belongs to the poor people who are struggling. These leaders, you don't have to be a president. You see them in all rank. They don't want to leave the position. Even if they have been there for years, they still want to believe them they can bring change. He or she been in a position for more than 20 years. Nothing has changed for the good of people. And when he tried to do something that looked like he has done something, even the people start appreciating it when this thing is nothing. That person has the duty to build the road, the hospitals, the school, and this and that is the duty and responsibility that comes with that position. But now we want to be worshipped because he has built the road that carries resources that he's stealing every day. Look how stupid our black-brown leaders are. You see a leader generation after generation. A country doesn't even have a better hospital to treat these people. When I say these people, the same people who have money. We are not talking about those who doesn't. Because those have been forgotten long time ago. They cannot even build a hospital where if anything happened, they will take them there and get treated there. Even with all these millions of money they have. You know what comes in their mind in the first place? If I will become ill, I will go to France. I will go to Japan. I'm going to India for operation. Once the operation is done, he or she return to the country, continue with life. What about the people who can afford what you can afford? And death comes sadly. Do you think every time that you become unwell, you have a chance to get to those countries that you love so much? That somebody else, a son of a man, have used all the resources and their energy to build the hospital where you are going to. Why can't you do the same? That will bring me to my third point. So you have this idea where people who have made it don't want other people to succeed. They don't want to be replaced. They don't want to be joined. They don't want to lift others. A black person become a misery of another black person. This is how you contribute to your own misery from yourself and to others. Problems after problems. The poverty of a thinking. Yet that person we think is successful. You see many countries where a president has to be forced to leave the power, even after he has been there for 30 years, has to be forced to get out. And once he gets out, he goes with almost all the entire money with him. A country has to start again from the scratch or somewhere. The person who's coming to be elected will be forced to go somewhere else. To the same masters who want to see the misery of those countries, he will be forced to beg them to sign contract so that he can also generate his income to what he needs, and the little that he has to show to the country that he's doing this or he has done that. Once he's gone, that will happen again to the next president. You imagine a country where a fifth or sixth president is the one who wants to build the road from the scratch. He has to sort out the schools. He has to sort out medical institutions and hospitals. He or she has to sort out security. A country has been pawned into insecurity for years. He or she has to be the one to deal with corruption, and the list goes on. Do you think you ever get there with all this behavior? You will never get there. You always be in the second, third, fourth place. Black, brown person. I spoke about the system that were built that were not there to benefit you. And there are a lot. Even with the way these countries are governed, they are governed in a way that doesn't connect with the black-brown life. We make things very difficult and complicated. Why? Because we value what doesn't belong to us. We are greedy. We like copying things so bad. There's another problem that you found a lot on black, brown people. And I'm not saying that everyone is like this. These are the problems that you found on many black, brown people. Remember what I said about religion, you find the person doesn't want to work. We lack 3 things. We like to be part of what has been built. Black, brown person doesn't like to build things from the scratch. He enjoys taking part in what other people has built. Look around and try to call people to say, I'm trying to do this. See how many people will support you. But the majority of them won't support you. Wait until they see that you are heading somewhere. Oh, he was very serious. What is happening now? Before you know it, it doesn't take long. What has he done? How did he get so much this? No, he must have done something. He must have used something. Or I think this, they start looking for negative stories. Negative story. When you spend years and years trying to build something, you even call them. They refuse and decline. But once they see you have made it, now they will start coming. Slowly, 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 slowly. They will show their brotherhood and sisterhood. Brother, I never lost hope. I was always praying for you. I was always this. Sister, oh my gosh, I support you. You had my support. I'm your uncle. Now we become an uncle. You want to play the unclehood role now. But when you needed an uncle, not just to be there for you, or who can just advise, or who can give you those words when you needed them, you didn't find that uncle. So we enjoy things that have already been built. This is the reason why you heard me saying those who are like leaders, they would enjoy going to somebody else's hospital in another country instead of a hospital in their own country. They would prefer to send their children to school a different country rather than building a better education system in their country. They will enjoy driving cars made by other nations rather than looking at the way that they can start building cars in their own country. The same goes to those who are very poor. We deny ourselves. We don't know what we want anymore. Everything that a black brown person does is embrace what has been put or what has been placed there for them, and they will try to enjoy it more than even those who have created their own thing. Can you see how we are the contributor of our problems? When I said education was a problem, it's because we are not educating ourselves enough to understand these things. Yet they are very simple things to see. But we are too distracted. Black and brown people are too distracted, chasing one thing to the other. You don't want to look backward and say, hang on, where am I coming from? Look at the other race and nations that are different to you, that have done it. There's not a different way. The way is to understand the problems. The way is to understand something is not right and start doing something about it. Just like what I'm doing right now. I understood something is wrong. And this is the reason why I'm spending this time. Not because I ain't got nothing else to do or I'm being paid for it, but it's because I feel like it is one of the things that black and brown people need more than anything else. The world needs this part of education, yes, because you can see where we are heading. Things seems to be going for the worse. But you as a black brown person, you need that more because you are already behind. And no matter what you do, if you continue to go through the same lines you are going through, you push yourself further behind. Know who you are. Knowing who you are is to know where your race is originally from, what culture is there, what life meant to the people there. And I'm not saying you should not embrace other beautiful things that goes with life. You can still do that because not race has everything that is bad. No country has everything that is good. You have to educate yourself to find what is a sensible thing to do. In the world where there's all these things happening, there's so many problems I can touch on, but the aim of Andunda Tree will be to touch each problem at a time. That's why we provide more educational episode to educate ourselves. Because without educating ourselves, life will continue to be very difficult for us. Because there's already systems everywhere you look, built, made, and created by others that doesn't belong to us. It's like you are living in a world run by other people. I'm not talking about run by God or devil. It's run by other people. And if you think that's okay to continue navigating from one side to another, then you should stop crying. You should stop saying, oh, they didn't give me a job because I'm black, because I'm brown. Because this is another problem that black and brown people enjoy or like having, complaining. Or because I'm this, because I'm that. Yes, because you are that. What are you gonna do about it? Or what are you doing about it? If you're so pissed, why don't you do something about it? Another problem, we don't get angry. We don't get pissed on what they do to us or what is happening to us. You have to be annoyed by the things that is happening to you and find a way to bring this to an end. Complaining is not going to solve it. Stand up for it. Talk about it. Find a way you can come together and try to put something in place where if another child of a black brown person who might face your struggle might turn up to when this is happening to them. Let's go back to who you are. If it's a family, life starts from family. Education starts at home. If you have a solid foundation of education on almost everything, school, religion, how to manage your money, how to use a social media and social network, what to dress, how to dress. So change your life today. Change the way you think. Change the way you do things. Act better. Act differently. Use common sense in every decision that you make, no matter how little it is. You might think it's a small thing that you're doing. We often go, oh, it doesn't matter. Oh, it does matter. It does matter, and it will affect you. It will continue to affect you until when you change the way you look at things. This is very important. Each individual person has a role to play. Celebrity and brothers and sisters who have made it, nobody wants to see your money. Nobody wants to see the houses you have built, the cars you have bought. What you want to see is to hear that you have built a school somewhere in Africa or somewhere in a neighborhood where you are that is benefiting black and brown children. So I hope you learned something, and if you feel this education conversation is beneficial in anyhow, use your common sense to share with others, to join me on the next podcast, to engage with us, to share your opinion, your thoughts, what can be done differently, what we can talk about some other time, how we can continue to improve our lives, and how we can make the world a better place, not just for you and I, but for every human being and every creature in the world. So check our website, andundatree.com, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, all these platforms, and the one name that we use is Andunda Tree. So engage with us. I wish you all the best. I hope you will change the way you see things after listening to this podcast. Starting from today, you will start to do things differently. Until next time, one love.